What's up, everyone? How's it going? Welcome back to the channel. Very big day in the office here. I have recently been working on what is my biggest to date brand strategy project. So I'm helping this professional networking association rebrand. So they are a collaborative divorce group. Basically, if you're unfamiliar, it is this alternative way to get divorced, whereas instead of like the traditional but you probably would associate with like Law and Order, it's a team-based collaborative approach. And I don't want to go into the details, but basically, if I were to get divorced, and I am currently single, bachelor, living in Denver, this seems like the best way possible to get divorced. So very happy to be working with this group. We have essentially concluded the brand strategy already. So I already presented the brand to the marketing committee who I am working with. They loved the ideas essentially, which was fantastic. And now we are starting to move into the design phase of the project. So I'm helping the organization rebrand. That is the brand strategy portion. So creating a new name, new design system, new positioning, new key messaging framework, all the stuff you would expect of a comprehensive brand strategy package. And then we're also going to be creating a new website. So that is where we are in the process now. Key way this project is working is that I am working with the marketing committee, but there's a larger board, and we need to present these ideas in terms of the new brand strategy and website to the board, and then they ultimately need to vote and sign off on it. So lots of stakeholders here, and it's a bit different than I normally work on, but honestly, it's a good change of pace, and I've actually really enjoyed working on this project. So today I am creating UX wireframes for the website, and then eventually we're going to obviously turn these into key UI mockups so that the board can see exactly what we're proposing. And then the key here, just so you know in the process, is that in 2 weeks' time, I need to finalize the brand strategy. So it's just a couple of feedback items I need to include from the client, the marketing committee, and then along with that final brand strategy presentation, then we also agreed to send them over the initial homepage mockup of the new website. That way it would be a lot less abstract in terms of the brand strategy we're proposing, and they'll have a concrete idea of what it actually looks like in practice. And then apparently also I'm going to be on the board meeting call over Zoom, and I guess I'll be in the firing line for answering questions, but it should be fun. Anyway, so that's what's on tap for today, and I thought this would be a fun video to make because the UX wireframe process, honestly the entire wireframing process has dramatically changed now that AI has become front and center. And so that is what I want to be walking you through in this video as I go about creating UX wireframes for my clients. By the way, everyone, if you're new here, my name is Bailey Canning. I'm an independent full stack marketing strategist living here in Denver, Colorado, primarily working with my clients on these brand strategy projects, web design and development projects, built-in Webflow, and then ongoing marketing retainers. As part of my work, running my own business, getting my own clients, I am regularly putting out videos on YouTube. So if you find this type of content interesting, would love for you to subscribe and stick around. So before we really dive into the process, I was just reflecting on how much the entire UX wireframing process has changed with the advent of AI. And even if I go back to when I was first getting started in the advertising industry, I want to say it was probably around 2015, 2016 or so. And I remember at the time when it came to landing my first couple freelance projects and creating these wireframes for clients, first of all, the UX wireframing is just to take a step back. It's important to first give the client a high-level overview of the content and layout structure for each page on the website. Then once they give approval on the content structure, then you have the ability to then go forward and actually write up all the copy, number one. But then number two, also create the final UI mockup design and present that to your client. That's important because you don't want to take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. So by following this process and presenting them the content, you're able to get buy-in on that. And then the question just becomes, what should it look like rather than what content should even be on the page in the first place. When I first got started creating these UX wireframes for the clients I was taking on, it was a dramatically different process than what it looks like today in our new AI driven world. So what I would do, and this all comes from a YouTube video I saw on the channel The Future, one of their designers broke down his process. Essentially, he had a couple prompts he would mention. So those prompts, I believe, were what are the user's objective, what are our business objectives, what are the emotions we want to invoke, and what are the questions we want to have answered. So I would use those prompts, and then I would actually write out exactly what I thought the answers were. And then I would use this to then brainstorm and actually like sketch out in my notebook here exactly what each of the wireframes should look like. Then once I had that rough idea down, then I would move it into the digital tools. So at the time, I believe the main tool I was using was Adobe XD. Now, of course, it's Figma. And then I would actually create digital versions of these wireframes, and I had to do them from scratch, actually. So it took a lot of time, and it was very manual. And then obviously, if I took on a new project later on, I had to do the whole thing from scratch in terms of the digital design. So over time, then later, a few years down the road, we got these component libraries or these pre-built kits, essentially. So this just made it way easier because we essentially had an entire library of commonly used website sections that we could just copy and paste into the design and then present in a much more professional manner to our clients. Now, that was still not a great process because it still took a lot of manual time, creating the actual strategy behind each page, and then of course copying and pasting in those components and then tweaking to fit the specific clients in this case. Then things got a lot faster when ChatGPT came around because now I could just actually put in all these notes and then basically ChatGPT would give me a UX outline. But then of course I would still need to go into Figma, the UX tool I use now, as does every professional in the industry. And then from there, it would still be several hours to copy and paste all the components in and then present it to the client. But everything changed, honestly, once Relume launched their AI site builder tool. I've done videos on this in the past, but never a vlog style video like this. And it is just such a game changer because honestly, I would say when I first started out, that initial process I described, it probably took about 20 hours or so just to present the initial V1 version to the client. That doesn't even include any revisions. And of course, all the time is dependent on the total scope of work, but it was a very labor intensive process. And now, honestly, I am planning to probably have these UX wireframes over to the clients later today. So it's just such a crazy new workflow that has come onto the scene. All right, so enough chatting. Let's finally get down to business. Also, guys, if you're still unconvinced on the impact that AI is having in the design world, just know you'll see I recently added this gallery wall to my desk office setup. Helps with productivity. Literally, these prints, as you can see here, designed, not the map, but the other prints you see, designed by Midjourney. So, I mean, that should give you an idea. Honestly, if you were to get up close and personal, it has like the brush strokes and everything. If you ask me, we're all Picasso level artists because of AI and a Midjourney description at this point in time. Deep work session complete, and the UX wireframes are pretty much ready to go. Now, you might have seen based on the screen share, and actually I turned it off because it was distracting me after a while, but you might have seen that I was doing a lot more playing around and manual editing that I normally do as I've done in past projects. So I don't know, sometimes it's maybe not as clear cut as you would think, but overall still saved me so much time. So let's jump into the wireframes. I want to show you exactly how the Relume wireframe builder site builder tool works, and then I'll also show you what it looks like to export it to Figma and then eventually complete from there. These are the UX wireframes I have created. And again, when I first started out doing this at the start of my career, this, what you see here, would have taken me much longer than it just took me. So I just want to run you through exactly how the tool works and then what the next steps would be like. So these are the completed wireframes that you'll see in the wireframe tab. Then we have the sitemap tab. So basically the way this tool works is that you can see all the different sections here, almost like a bullet point list in a way. So this way you can move things around early on if you wanted to, and then you can readjust as needed in terms of the actual content structure. Then once you get it into a place where you like, then you can move into the wireframe tab, and that's when you saw it automatically generate everything. Now from there, it automatically puts in the copy number one. Now, I look at this as like filler copy, so it's basically a placeholder. However, it's certainly better than, lorem ipsum type text. However, I would never really present this to the client as finished copy. Rather, I'm going to handle all the copywriting myself down the line later on. But certainly for presenting the UX wireframes and just clearly allowing the client to see what the content section is going to be about, it is more than serviceable. So you can see here, you can click into any section. It's very similar to like Figma, for example, if you're familiar with the canvas. And you can see here, you can click in. You have some different options in case if you want to change like the asset, so like a photo or video, the text section, the asset placement. But then of course, if you wanted to, you can just browse all the Relume components here and then search accordingly. Now, it doesn't seem to be all of the components. So if you're familiar with the actual Relume library, there's hundreds, if not even thousands at this point, of components across many different sections. It doesn't seem, I could be wrong here, but it doesn't seem that in Relume, at least in this wireframe site builder tool, they have all of them. They seem to just have like the most popular ones that you would most likely want to use. So that's something to consider there. But I am going to take this into Figma, like I said later, and there are going to be some customizations I need to make. So for example, we're going to be setting up a member directory, and I want to include some sort of custom form filter here. So this way prospective clients can go to the website and filter for members that are going to be in their area. I was even thinking it could be fun to be like their personality type, but then also like obviously what profession are they? Lawyers, accountants, mental health professionals, that sort of thing. So that's something I need to mock up here. And there are a couple other options like that as well. So, but overall it is very good. And then you'll see if you wanted to really take it a step further, and I've done a video on this, you can actually auto-generate a style guide. And you can see here it already went ahead and created a UI wireframe. So this is very V1. At least it did come up with some nice stock photos, I will say, but honestly, I don't really think this is like presentation worthy at all to a client. I don't think they would be very happy at all if I actually presented what you see here. Now, you do, of course, have a lot of different options here to change this around, so I could really refine this a lot, but just for me personally, I just like to bring it into Figma. That gives me a lot more. And then there's also this design beta. I'm actually not even too familiar with this. Oh, I guess you can see here that they actually bring out the UI wireframes into the same canvas view. So that's actually pretty cool. So yeah, I think for right now, Relume is very strong in the sitemap and UX wireframing category, but it's still got a ways to go in the style guide and design beta room. But honestly, again, we're like in inning number 2, so I'm sure in the long run, it's going to be much, much better as the years go by. So if you wanted to, you can now export it to a variety of different options. I wouldn't bring this right into Webflow unless maybe it was like a personal project and I already had the design in my head. But rather, I would always just choose to bring it into Figma. So if you wanted to, you can just export it as so, and then basically you get the Figma kit. I believe I already have it. Usually I use the Figma desktop browser, but we will see here. So I'll just create the project actually now. For the sake of the video, I will just select this project and then we will change it out later. All right, so now we're in the actual Figma file. So in here, you can see that this is the Relume Figma file. So basically it has all the different components already created here. And you can also see we have like the mobile versions as well. So if you wanted to, what I would do here is actually, I'll just use, we'll create a new page here. People say UX wireframes. Then we need to run the plugin. So go up here. Honestly, I'm not a fan of all the different Figma updates lately, especially because most of them seem to be in beta, but that's neither here nor there. So then you need to log into your Relume account. I'm surprised mine wasn't. All right, should be good. Let's go back to Figma. Then we can see the project here. Interesting. And then I just want to import the wireframes. These are all the pages, and then we're going to hit Start Import. In my experience, it's usually much faster than the 10 minutes they're estimating here, so we'll see what happens. You can see here it's already being built out. But yeah, that's basically what the process will look like. This will probably only take a few minutes, and my screen recording might be slowing it down, if anything. But this is basically what it looks like. So this way, you actually even get the mobile wireframes already. So that's something I don't really mock up ever, honestly. The client would need to pay extra, and you can see it's estimating I saved 7.5 hours. I think that's pretty legit. It might honestly be even more. So yeah, now you can see we have everything imported. And I mean, this section looks a little different than I was anticipating, but otherwise it all looks good. As you can see here, the UX wireframes are in here. I think we have plenty to work with for sure. I'll probably just end up deleting the mobile versions because that is not part of the project here. But yeah, as you can see, it saves a lot of time, and now we can move right into developing the copy, which is the next part I'm going to do. And then after this, I still need to do some refinements here. So like I said, I just like to bring it into Figma because then you have full manual control. So I like that a lot more. But you can definitely use the Relume site builder tool to get the wireframes probably about 90% of the way there. And then you can bring them to Figma like we are here to fully revamp them to your needs. And then, yeah, so basically I just need to add in the filter section here for the member directory. This looks like I got a little cut off, but no big deal. And then I'm going to get started. I will probably eventually create a presentation, just sending this over to the client, so it'll serve as an update. I'll be like, here are the UX wireframes we're working on. You know, let me know anything you want to flag in terms of feedback in the moment. And then I need to develop the actual homepage UI wireframe, as you can see here. And this way, we're going to go then present it to the board, and hopefully everyone is going to like it. And then we can move forward with development. Of course, that's also going to be done with the Relume library. So that is exactly what the Webflow process looks like if you want to create AI wireframes as of this moment. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so that's the video. I hope you enjoyed this behind the scenes look at what it's like to design and develop these UX wireframes with this enhanced AI workflow. So if you are a fellow web designer, developer, hopefully you got some inspiration from this. Now, if you are a business owner, maybe you run your own company, or perhaps you are a marketing director and you know that you need to completely revamp your website, maybe you even need to revisit your brand strategy, or maybe you even have questions about how to market the website once it's live, I would love to help you out if that's the case. And I invite you to schedule a strategy call with yours truly. This is not going to be a strategy call where I'm selling you on my services. Rather, it is simply going to be a very honest, direct, one-to-one conversation where we can get to know each other. And I will ask you a series of questions in this 30 to 45-minute discussion to learn more about your business, your company goals, your marketing and sales objectives. And then based on everything you tell me, I will help you outline a branding, web design and development, and ongoing digital marketing game plan to ensure your company can grow its brand awareness online, generate leads, and of course, ultimately increase revenue so that you can achieve any goals your company has set out. So again, I would love to help you out. There's an interactive video form in the description of this video. It's about 5 questions, takes about 5, 6, 7 minutes to fill out. Once you do so, if you're qualified, you'll be invited to schedule a meeting directly on my calendar. That's the video. Hopefully you got a lot of value out of it. Definitely make sure to subscribe if you did, because I'm putting out a couple videos per week, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you very much for watching. Bye.